Hello everybody, welcome. Today we got a special video. It's my oldest vehicle I own, and it's my first car that I've ever had. So, today what we're going to be working on is a 1972 Fiat 850 Sport Spider with the 0.9 liter engine in it, or the 903 for the enthusiasts there. It's got a 4-speed in it, and no power steering or anything like that. It is what it is. Bare bones. But what we're working on today is right here is where the alternator would go. And the alternator that I had went out on it. So we're gonna have to I ordered a new alternator. I think it comes out of a 127. I got a new alternator for it. Sorry about the mess. And so they're pretty similar. They're weird alternators. I think this one's from a 127. This is from the 850 here. And the 127 uses a single pulley. The 850 uses 2 pulleys. And this one is internally resisted and a bunch of other stuff. But this is a pulley we're going to consider trying to make work, but this is the original, and there's possibility that they can just be swapped. But if you look at this, the thickness of this bracket right here is different compared to the original. The original's thinner in comparison. So what that does is puts all the pulleys on a different slightly over, so then the belts will be at an angle, and I'm gonna wear my belts out real fast, and I don't have to just keep replacing belts. These belts are actually they're so small that they're kind of hard to get. I mean, it's totally possible. It's not that hard. But today the main challenge is I'm gonna machine this machine, and I'm actually just gonna take a grinding disc with a grinder and just get this until it's the same thickness as this. And I'm gonna go over what I'm going to do, but it's going to just be take a little bit of it off, check back and forth, make sure that it's the same thickness and such. That's today's challenge with it. Otherwise, if that goes well, because it's internally resisted, and this is not originally internally resisted, we've got a couple of things to work on, specifically the voltage regulator, which means that, ignore that, that I'm going to have to rewire so that this is eliminated and not part of the circuit. But other than that, this new alternator is gonna fix most of my problems. I was driving, and the alternator light just turned on, and I was like, uh-oh. So I booked it home, and I was getting no charge. We were just off the battery, so we're gonna, I guess, get on to machining that thing down, quote unquote. Alright, so some disappointing news. If I were to take this off, take the pulley from the original, which is 2 different sizes, by the way, doesn't go on. It's just too small in there. I know I can be machined. That's what I'm trying to get at. But I mean, I got this other pulley. We've done the math. I think it's less than 14% difference in speed, which is not ideal, but it's I think it's totally doable. So I don't want to machine an original part, specifically this part, because one day this alternator could be rebuilt, just not in its current state, or not currently, because I don't have I haven't found someone to rebuild it. So I think we're gonna continue the work. This pulley and fan, this is a counter-rotating engine, but if you look into the science and stuff of it, an alternator can turn in both ways and generate the same. It doesn't affect the alternator at all. So we're good on that front. But other than that, we do have the reduction in speed as far as the water pump specifically. So overheating is potentially more likely, hopefully not. And it's a rear engine car, and they put the radiator in the rear. It's got hot engine air going over the radiator and then out the bottom. It's a little worrisome, but I think this is the route that we're going to have to take for now. Alright, so here's my setup. I've got the alternator posted here, nice and firm. I'm going to take my grinder and wire wheel and just go along here. First I'm going to take care of these raises here, see how much that can get me close, and then work my way the rest of this area. I kind of need this all to be flush with itself. Up here can kind of be raised just based off how the other one's shaped. It's kind of got a ramp going up. So I'm going to give this a whirl and see what we can do. Hopefully not ruin an alternator. I'm going to try to keep it cool. I don't know if water's going to be bad for the wire wheel at all, but we'll see. I don't want it to get too hot and melt any of the plastic or electronics in there. With something like this, you absolutely don't want to rush it. I just got this one just surfaced. It looks pretty flat. It's got it's a small wave in there, I can see that. But I'm gonna go ahead and get to the other one just so that I'm consistent throughout instead of going too far on this one and then that one's too large and then I'll run into more problems later. It's more about taking your time and thinking it through than just getting it done at this point. All right, got them both the same height. It's not too hot either. So now I'm gonna have to see how far I'm going to have to go to meet the same dimensions as the original. So here's my original. It looks like I don't have too far to go. I'm going to go ahead, grab a marker so that I can mark it on here and then work my way to it instead of just guessing at it. Just got a regular marker. And I'm going to do this, I might grab the calipers out, but for now I'm just going to do it this way. I'm going to take it, get it flat on my board here. For now, just give a good mark. In this case, I know that the bottom of my mark is where I'm headed, not the top. Or not the middle either. So that's how high I'm shooting for here compared to the original. So I'm going to keep going until I hit the top of that, and then really think it through again, and then keep going along those lines. You can see I got a pretty decent line on there. I've also forgot to put some water on it. I've been working on it for a minute. So it might be a little tall on this side, but this side is at the correct height pretty much. I have a little more, for some reason this side's taking longer, and I guess it's because it's just more surface area. And it still goes up slightly behind it. Back here. So, but I'm watching it every time. I'll make a pass, go around everything. I see a spot, I'll touch it up. See a spot, touch it up. Just work as I go. And it's mainly just right here that I see it. I need to get to the other side and check it. But it's just working. And you can see I've made a pretty good dent in it. But I do want it to try to get it as flat as possible so that when it's on the car, the alternator isn't at an angle at all. But we're getting pretty dang close. It's pretty good. I've gotten to a point where I need to at least check it. So, got all that water off. How I would check it is find a straight edge, which I've got a pair of calipers here, which are going to serve two purposes. But that's a straight edge enough to me. So I'm just going to go set it on there, find 2 points, and then see where my high spots are. Which, of course, there's going to be little ones. Like, it's tall here in the middle. It's tall here in the middle right here. Well, right here it's going to be a little tall on this. Yeah, just that middle part. And it's not just about going in one direction. You got to go at multiple angles to get the full picture. So like I'm deep here and tall here, so that's something I need to note. I'm tall on that ridge, and I'm tall kind of in the rear. Still tall in the rear. I'm calling this side the rear, my bad. In the middle, still. I have a small hill here, and I have a dip here. So from that, I can tell I'm tall in the middle here, I'm tall right here and here, I'm tall here along this ridge, and then I'm tall right here. So those are the points that I'm gonna go back with the grinder and touch up a bit. Not gonna go hard. I'm gonna go a little easy on it. And then come back and then check it again, so that I can get it a consistent flat-ish spot here. And then we might go a little further and maybe even get a block and sandpaper and try to sand it a little flatter. But these are big enough that it's going to take forever with sandpaper. So we get that, and then we'll actually measure the thickness of it compared to the original, and then see where we need to go from there. Touched up on those. Oh, that's hot. So I'm going to double check again with this straight edge. Yeah, that's a bit more improved. Now it's not going to be perfect. You're working with a hand tool here, and ideally you would have like a planer or something. But in my case, I don't have those resources. So to get it flat, I've got a piece of tile here with sandpaper on it. I'm going to take it. The whole thing is kind of hot. I'm going to take it, set it down here, and go back and forth with it on the tile, because the tile is going to be flat, or it's the flattest thing I do have here. So I can make this flat, and hopefully it's straight, because we've watched it, measure, and done some close measuring and such. Let's see how this works out. One thing that I am noticing, got high spots and high spots, but parts where it hasn't even touched, or where the dust is falling. So that tells me that I do have high spots, and then I am taking some of them out. Not only that, but on it, I don't know if the camera can see it, but I can see where the sandpaper is working and where the grinding wheel had touched. So I'm touching here, here, and there, a little bit here, but nothing here and here and here. So that tells me that, I mean, that tells me that we weren't all that flat, even though it looked like it. So this step actually is going to help me a whole lot into getting this much more consistent. And it doesn't have to be perfectly flat. It's more about the angle that we care about. But the more surface area is, it's going to be stronger for it. Less blooming where we do tighten it down. It's not going to be too tight, but I mean, it's going to happen. So I'm just trying to prepare it the best I can. Alright, hopefully you can see there's a much bigger patch coming up here and here now. This is actually all kind of low, but over here we're getting a good patch. Now that we got these flats, and it's starting to come, it's not complete, you can see some of them still. I'm going to go ahead and compare this to the old one and put it in the car just to get, you know, more confirmation on we're headed the right direction and everything. It might already be close enough. I'll have to check, but that's the whole purpose. It's to check. So I'm going to go ahead and try to arrange it in the car and then see what I can get out of it. And compare it to the other one, of course. Alright, so I've got the both alternators here, and if I measure this, it's just about consistently throughout the whole thing. It's going to be 0.7378-ish thousandths of an inch. So, seeing how close this is to that, and then putting it onto ours that we currently did, it is super close to being at the right thickness. So I'm actually gonna hold off on continuing anymore for now. I'm really gonna think it over. That's really the big thing here. I'm gonna do a bit more sanding here, move my paper over so I can get another good surface, but that is pretty much where we want to be. Secondly, like I was saying, I want to fit it into the engine and just see how it looks in there, see if it feels right, and you know, all that kind of stuff. Also, we're looking into how are the belts going to be on here. Are they going to be slightly angled? Are they going to be perfectly flush? This is a different pulley, a different it is further out than what the original was, so I have to take all these things into consideration. Plus, if you can see, there's a there's a slope within the alternator housing there, makes all this further out. So these are all things that needs to be considered when I'm doing this. So I'm gonna go ahead and fit it in and see how it looks. So I've got the alternator in and everything, and if you see right there, we got a clearance issue. So I'm gonna need to, when you tighten it, it goes this way. So I'm gonna have to go in and grind that down to the same flatness. And that's why we didn't do our finish until we checked it, because now we know that we had a clearance issue right there. It looks fine the rest of the way, but right there needs it. So I'm gonna just take a marker and try my best to give myself a little reference. Oop. And I'm going to try my best to give myself a little reference on where this interference is, and then I'm going to take it back to the table and grind that off. I fixed that interference issue. It seems fine, but there is another clearance issue which I had with the original alternator, which is part of why it probably went out. Your power wire goes directly to this nut right here and stud. Well, the nut and stud, you can see where I had electrical tape on it on the last one, interferes with the fan shroud. My figuring is this fan shroud and water pump assembly and everything, because this is the water pump and this fan shroud, they're connected. isn't meant for this car, but it's here, so, and someone had that same problem too, because this is a straight line on a curve, which means they cut it, which also means I'll cut it. If you were running the engine at night and everything, and you looked at it, you could see sparks between the stud and everything, and one, it's probably hurting a lot of things on this car, not only just the charging system, but the battery itself, the alternator itself, and probably potentially other components too. So that's something we're gonna have to take care of here. I'm gonna pull the alternator, get a cutting disc in here, and cut this back at least so that it can't arc over. But either way, there isn't much more room for it to go down anyways. Let's see if y'all can see it. So I'm not terribly I just don't want it to arc. It's not necessarily so it can go down further, which we can go down further, but also it's a good time to check if any. If the belt is straight, which, hang on, let me lift it up so it's, we are still about the thickness of this ridge right here, too far out, so we're gonna have to grind down some more, which is okay. I mean, it is what it is, but we're gonna have to go some more, and that means it's gonna go further towards this fan shroud and cause a couple more issues possibly. And I mean, I was worried about this, and I forgot about this. My pulley's too loose, so we're gonna have to find a smaller pulley, which they don't really get any smaller. You go any smaller, they don't have let me grab this one. You go any smaller, they no longer have the flexible teeth. They're just solid, which isn't the best. I think this one's slightly smaller, so we can try it. No, that one's got to be bigger. Yeah, that's the big one. So that's probably something I can go find at Tractor Supply, but either way, we got to get it so that they are even with each other. So I guess I'll keep grinding a bit. We got, I don't know, another 1/4 inch to go. I've been working on this for a while now, and when I put it in the car, it appears that it's slightly at an angle, and I'm not exactly sure why, but the angle is headed towards the back right, or outside of the car. That means that this inside edge is lower than the other side of this. So that means that I've got to plane off this side a bit more, which not only give me that little bit more room that I need, but also angle it right so my belts aren't slightly crooked. So this is what my plan is, just so that I have a method at least. I took just my marker and marked this up. I don't have like, you know, the machinist would have something, but I don't have that stuff. Marker works just fine in this scenario. And I'm just gonna take this, and I'm gonna, hopefully this shows some of the high points, but more than that, just show me where I haven't hit yet to get this side a bit more down. I'm trying, and I'm super close. I took a ton of it off, but we'll see how this works. Well, I guess what I just said might have been wrong. If you look, well, it's kind of hard to tell on camera. I mean, I've got it on. This belt can get tight. That's fine. It's this belt that's still loose. But if you can look right here, that's at an angle still, which means that it's still kicked this it's still slightly this way. So I need to do that. So what I just did was actually counterintuitive, but it's getting me thinking at least. So you can see there, kind of. It's hard to see, but there's almost, I guess there's almost like a middle ledge that I just need to mow down a little, and that'll turn it over just a bit, so it's not just so aggressive. And honestly, I'm thinking that I might run it like this for a little bit and just see how they react. I don't want to, I'm scared to go too far on this thing, especially I still have the fan shroud here, interference, and I could take off this plastic and give me room, but there's metal electric bits right behind it, so that could arc over, and I'm trying to minimize that. So I'm gonna give it one more try on the grinder and see if I can get that middle hill out. Well, I must have got some common sense, hit myself in the head or something, because I finally got a light for y'all. But here we go in the engine bay. I can actually still get this line tight. It is the one that was supposed to go to the smaller pulley anyways. I think this is just slightly smaller, so it's not a huge difference anyways. It's this one that's the bigger difference, and I'm gonna have to go get another pulley for this, but it's in, and it's very close to straight. It's super close, but I mean, it's enough that I'm happy with it today. Now if I see that it's eating up my belts a lot, then I'll go and get another one. But I mean, I'll go get another ones, but I'll adjust some on the alternator just to make it happy again. But other than that, I'm gonna have to go find another belt. The reason why I know that I'm okay, well, at least I feel okay, is this is basically like a gear, and this is a gear. When they're in mesh, that's a ratio, and then this is like a gear, and this is like a gear, which makes it another ratio. And so the reason why I know that it's works out is because of some math. My dad did it for me. Thank you to him, and he also helped me figure out what size pulley belts that I'm gonna need as well. So thank you for him for doing that math for me, because that's to some people might not be complicated, but to others that's pretty complicated stuff. I'll show some on the screen here, but anyways, I'm gonna have to go double check what the math says, but it does say, I think it's a 14-inch pulley, or I know it's less than 20 inches. So either way, I'm gonna have to go find one of those and put it in here, and then it's I think onto wiring then. Got back from the store, got me a new belt. It's actually 27 inches. I remeasured. This says 27. I took like a measuring tape that you measure yourself for clothing and such. It's, really flimsy. Put it around there, and it measured 27. It actually measured 27 and 1/4, but they don't sell a one in a 10 millimeter and a 27 and 1/4. So this is just the best I've got for now. And like I said, it's probably gonna wear out. It's bound to happen. So I'm not. I mean, they are wear items. So that's the old one. And then the new one, right here. It's a little thinner than I thought, but it should still function just as well. And just make sure this bottom one is actually on the pulley. It'll confuse you like that. They're already both kind of tight, so that's kind of good to see. Means that the measuring might have worked out. They might squeak, I guess. It's the one thing I can foreshadow happening. Alright, That's a little looser than I would like, but that's not terrible. Oh, they're both kind of loose. Let's see what I can do better. Retying them. They're a little looser than I'd like. This one's actually still a little loose, but we'll have to just wait until it's and see what it's like under a load until we'll really find out how it's going to react. Although with it's a little loose, as soon as it starts wearing out, it's going to start slipping, but we'll be able to hear it hopefully. Now it's just down to wiring at this point. I got to eliminate my voltage regulator here because it's internally regulated on this, and figure out how those wires are going to work out. Hello, it's been a couple hours. Figured it out. Of course I got that new pulley on. I guess I could tighten them again. But turns out, figured out how to get the voltage regulator out of it. It's not plugged in anymore. So basically, for this car, this doesn't work. Like on a Ford, there would be a different, I think it's a different solution. But I had a relay that went to the ignition, and beforehand, I had already had unplugged it, so that relay wasn't doing anything. So I pulled the whole relay out. It's on the ground somewhere. Oh, there it is. I pulled my whole relay out. Nothing went to the front of the car or anything. Although, like a Ford, like my old truck, I'm thinking that is like the 12 volt start ignition instead of the 8 volt running, but I don't know. Also, this isn't a point system, this is an upgraded system and such. Electronic instead of points. But basically, I connected the power wire where it would be, and then I just connected the charge indicator, which would be a red light up there, to the only other terminal available on this 127 alternator. So so that's all it needed. It worked. For some reason, when working on it, I was confused. I thought the light turns on when you don't have power, but it turns out it turns off when you don't have power. Now it does. So either I fixed it or I didn't. But we're getting charge. It actually had charged up the battery, but while it was running, it was at 13.5, which is perfect for a car. So that's very exciting. But late in the day, I have some friends to go see, so I'll probably catch y'all up tomorrow. I'll have it running. I'll start it tomorrow and show y'all some of it. Get some revs in there. But other than that, that's going to be it for today, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. Rain last night, as you can tell, and it's been like a week or something. So, getting back into it a little bit. I've got to go back to school soon, but I got busy with work for a week. Got some stuff to do on the 6.0, but since it's still wet and everything, we're going to wait a minute. But I'm going to continue on the Fiat here, and I said that I would get some running for y'all, so that's what I'm going to do here. Just get it running, get it maybe warmed up, but no moving yet because the 460's in the way. We'll get some action for you today. Let me set y'all up, and we'll get to running it. I did have it running the other day without y'all, but it still runs, thank goodness. But the carburetor's getting a little clogged up a little. It's been sitting and it's probably separated some of the fuel in there, but just needs a little workout and a little bit of fresh fuel. So let's get at it. A little go juice to just help it out in the first start. Since my rebuild, I've been having trouble getting it to start, but we'll get it there. I'm gonna retard the timing a little bit, see if that helps. My trouble has been, once I get it running, it wants a little bit more timing, but to get it started, it wants a little less timing, so we'll see what we can do about that. I believe it's towards the rear of the car. This engine turns counterclockwise, so it's going to be opposite than a normal vehicle, and I don't remember which way. If this goes counterclockwise, it should turn clockwise. So yeah, that should retard it. Let's try it out. It's liking that. I think it needs just a touch more. See how that goes. I think it's too far now. I need to advance it a little more. And the carburetor might be a little bit out of tune, but I know I can get it started with how it's set, so I'm going to leave it for now, but I do need to get to that once. But you don't want to change that until you get the engine warm. You can hear it and see it wanting to die. Means it's retarded too much. Means the engine is retarded too much. The idle's too low because you set your idle speed with your timing. So let me try here again. What I did there was trying to get whatever crap is stuck in the jets and anything in the carburetor. I probably should take this completely off and give it a couple of taps. It's probably a little stuck on the float and needle. Get it a little better, more happy, because it's obviously the fuel mixture and air is not quite right with it right now. So it does seem like it wants a little bit more idle out of it too, so I'm going to add a little bit more. You could put a vacuum gauge and actually put it on the upper port to see if it's pulling vacuum. In theory, just sitting there at idle, there should be no vacuum on that one, but I'm not going to plug that in right now. Make sure that's released. And then we're going to get it running and see if we can get those idle mixture screws set a bit better and set the idle more properly correct and try to get a bit of timing through it. Might not start now that we played so much with the timing. Well, that's not bad. See, if I play with the timing, I can make it go faster or slower depending on how the timing's set. Because you set your idle speed through the timing. For today's purposes, I'm going to put it around 1,000 RPM. Might be even a little too advanced because this is supposed to idle at 850. It appeared I had possibly my curb idle screw a little too far in, or too out, and it couldn't get enough air through it. Oh, hold it. I held it on there a little too far. It's such a small engine, 0.9 liters, that holding your hand to try to clean out the idle jets might be a little too much, and it doesn't have enough torque, especially at those low RPMs, to really keep moving. But it appears to do okay. You just have to restart it, but we're cleaning it up pretty good. I'm going to grab like the rear end of a screwdriver, tap near the float and needles, see if I can get some of that it to see a little bit better. Make sure we're not just dumping in there. Percussive maintenance. Okay, let me try it again. We're getting it started without needing starter fluid, so that's good. There you go. Now it's not perfect. I didn't get it completely hot, but I got a good starting and running engine. Hopefully next week when I come back, it'll start the same. So we do have charging. New alternator in there. We are charging. I've got 13.5 volts coming from the battery. So we are charging it, and when the engine dies, that little light turns off. So we seem to be good on our charging circuit, which is what we were here to fix. Now I do need to, my next step is to get the car moving and running, because after my rebuild, I'm only at 69 miles there, almost 70. And I want to get to 100, do an oil change, and then this thing should be happier to go back onto the road. So and it's got some tuning to do, of course, and everything, and that'll come. But that was my goal for this break. Get that alternator in there. So she's sounding good and got some good power in her. And when I hit 100, my first 100 miles, I need to go back in there, torque the head bolts down again, and adjust the valves, of course. So, and look, we're getting a little bit more RPM out of it. That's, I think I have an air leak on the carburetor. Here, we'll turn it off. I think I have an air leak through my shaft here. This has already been honed and everything, and got a larger shaft in it, but for some reason I'm just not getting a great seal on that shaft right there. And I'm fighting getting too tight and getting a carburetor that locks up on me, or getting too loose and then I've got air coming in it. But I've got a running, working vehicle now, so I'm pretty happy with that. Thank y'all for watching this one. I'm very excited to get that done. That's something I've been dreading for the past month or so. As you can see, that alternator needed a lot of customizing to make it fit in there, but it's a new alternator with new components, and eliminates a component within the car, and you can still get it off the shelf. The old alternator, one day I do want to get rebuilt, not only as a backup, but maybe even just to go back into the car. I'm keeping my voltage regulator and everything like that. I have the wires still. I'm not going to get rid of it or anything, so that if I maybe this one goes out, I can quickly go back to that my original one. So, but thank you for watching. Thank you for staying through the whole video with me, and I hope to see y'all again. Please like and subscribe, and there's more coming on this car. There's more coming on my other vehicles, and I don't know when this is coming out or in what order. I believe I have a video on some body work on the 460 here, and I've got alternator work on the Fiat there, and then I have some maintenance and preventative maintenance on the 6.0, which that'll probably either come out after this or come out before it. Don't know, but go ahead and take a look at all those other videos, and I hope that y'all come back for more. So thank you very much. Again, please subscribe, and see you next time.